I'm Caitlin, and welcome to the Lit Review. Today we're going to do something called seasonal selections. I love the changing of the seasons. It really feels like a very significant portion of how I just experience the world. And even though we're in October and fall technically counts in September, October's when it really just feels like fall to me, at least here in the United States. So I wanted to kick it off here now that we're officially in October. And so I'm going to be telling you a lot of my seasonal favorite things and then recommend you books based on those favorite things. And then at the end, I am going to give you a seasonal TBR of 5 books that I would love to be able to complete during the fall season. So, for the rest of October and November, essentially. But, I won't be beholden to that. It's just a TBR of things I'd like to get to. So hopefully I'll be able to bring this to you every season and kind of get to tell you some of my favorite things and see how those preferences change and grow, and you'll get book recommendations along the way. So I came up with these prompts myself, just kind of like brainstorming. I know there are a lot of amazing fall tags out there, but I didn't necessarily source anything from those tags. If you have any suggestions about what other seasonal favorites you'd like to hear about and then get book recommendations for, let me know down in the comments below. So the first thing I could think of was like, what's just your favorite thing about the season? And for me, that has always been falling leaves and the crunch they make when you're walking through them. I grew up in the Midwest, and now that I live out here in Los Angeles, California, I don't get falling leaves all that often, so I really miss it. And maybe that's part of why I just love fall so much, is it's got a really nostalgic feel to me of like where I grew up. But falling leaves are absolutely my favorite thing. And the book that I would recommend to you based on that, maybe it's just because it's in the title, but Leaves of Grass by Walt Whitman. His, very famous poetry collection, very much tied to nature. And it's been a while since I've given it a full reread, but I remember reading this for the first time in high school, and it left a huge impact on me. I also, in addition to like this full collected Leaves of Grass, have this illustrated edition of specifically just the poem Song of Myself, and that is illustrated by Alan Crawford. So this little edition is, like really cool lettering, and just complex, like basically making the poetry more complex and visceral on the page. So I've had this edition for quite a long time, and it's really just kind of like an art piece in my book collection. But I do really love the full Leaves of Grass. So what is your favorite holiday during this time? And for me, that is 100% Halloween. I have always loved dressing up and, back in the day, going trick-or-treating. I would if I could, but based on my favorite holiday, the book I would like to recommend to you is A Discovery of Witches by Deborah Harkness. I would actually highly recommend the entire All Souls trilogy, but this is the first in that trilogy, so, please read this. It is honestly one of my favorite books of all time, unsurprisingly, because it reminds me of Halloween. There's witches and vampires and shifters and really strong power dynamics, but also because the main character, Diana, is herself a witch, and she has to kind of reconnect with her heritage as a witch in some ways throughout the entire series. So they talk about things like the actual pagan traditions that led to Halloween, and you get to see a little bit of that celebration. I believe in this book, it's been a while since I've reread the whole trilogy, but it's just such a cool thing that's in this series, and I just can't recommend it to you enough. I know it's probably recommended a lot during this season, but I love it. So favorite food. Now this one is much more of like a Thanksgiving oriented thing. I don't let myself make this very often because I love to bake, but my favorite food is pumpkin pie during the fall. Like, it's just so good. I don't pumpkin. Basically anything with pumpkin, like pumpkin bread, the old PSL, but no, pumpkin pie just really wins it all for me. So the book I can recommend to you based on loving pumpkin pie is, unsurprisingly, Pumpkinheads by Rainbow Rowell and Faith Erin Hicks. I know, everybody recommends this book, and it's heartwarming, it's cute, it's easy to consume, it is an instant good feels, and honestly, if you like food, specifically fall food, this is your book, because there's like a whole, so it takes place in a pumpkin patch, this little pumpkin patch to be specific. It's the coolest pumpkin patch I've ever seen. Why are there not more pumpkin patches like this? But half of this pumpkin patch is dedicated to food stands. Like we have the chili fry stand, the Patty's apple stand, the pumpkin bomb stand, which I would like to make that, the kettle corn kettle, the Frito pie stop, succotash hut, s'mores pit, fudge shop, and the pie palace. I kid you not, half of this is food. So there are some really cool like delicacies that you get to see the characters sample that are like honestly really food inspiring. So in general, that's a really fun component of this book. It's also just a really cute little adventure between two friends who are going around trying to like have their last kind of grand hurrah over their years at the pumpkin patch before they both go off to college. So just super cute, really, really sweet. Yeah, go for it. So along with favorite food, I had to go favorite drink. And for me, even though it would be really easy to say something of the pumpkin spice variety, which I do deeply enjoy, again, I was really feeling nostalgic when I was making this list this year, and I think hot chocolate is actually the answer. And let me explain, because I think most people tend to associate hot chocolate with like winter, next season. But I grew up in a community that like really, really valued its high school football, and part of their like fundraising every game was selling hot chocolate. So every time you went to a Friday night game, you got hot chocolate. And so it was just like this really good fall feeling, and really something I associate with like coziness and community in the fall time. So for me, hot chocolate season like starts in the fall and continues through. So that is my favorite drink. And along that line, in terms of, again, trying to connect to that thing of nostalgia, but also just a really like good, rich, chocolatey experience, I'm going to recommend you a cookbook. And that is one of my favorite cookbooks, actually. And that is Brave Tart by Stella Parks. Again, I love to bake. It is one of my favorite hobbies outside of reading. And I think this cookbook is just phenomenal. The subtitle of it is Iconic American Desserts. And if you like to geek out about baking and really like to tinker, I highly recommend this cookbook, because Stella Parks has done her homework on all of these, again, iconic American desserts. So throughout, she will, have things like Devil's Food Cake, but she does the research and she like includes old like descriptors and pictures and advertisements for it. And she lets you know culturally where these desserts are coming from within like the American identity. And then she gives you like literally the best recipe, because she has tested dozens of recipes for Devil's Food Cake, for carrot cake, for, Oreos. She'll teach you how to make your own Oreos. And so she'll give you gorgeous recipe. And then the really exciting thing for me is that at the end, she will always give you a page that says like mix it up and tell you all the different variations that she found in her research and which one she liked the best or which one she came up with herself. It is such a fun experience if you are a baker. I would also say that one of the best things I've ever made as somebody who likes to bake has come from this cookbook. She has a phenomenal recipe for red wine velvet cake instead of red velvet cake. You use red wine. It's phenomenal. Like, honestly, check this cookbook out, especially if you're doing a lot of baking in the fall or pending holiday seasons. Yeah, just really love this. And I don't really talk about cookbooks on this channel very much, but this is like one of my all-time faves. Something else I don't really talk about on this channel but is undeniably true is I am a candle junkie. I really have a candle buying problem, and I do buy from like Bath and Body Works, but I also buy from a lot of other places. Candles are just my favorite thing. I usually have a candle burning when I'm working. I have a candle burning after we get off work. I have a plan. I have a logic for all of my candle burning. Don't you worry. But my favorite seasonal candle to burn is actually a Bath & Body Works candle, and it is Marshmallow Fireside. I actually have, I think, like 3 of these right now because it is just my favorite. It's just like warm and a little smoky, a little sweet. And according to the notes on the bottom, because they always like tell you on the bottom, toasted marshmallow, smoldering woods, fire roasted vanilla, crystallized amber with essential oils. Is my favorite. So the book I want to recommend to you based on my favorite candle scent of the season is a book with a marshmallow character. And that would be Get a Life, Chloe Brown by Talia Hibbert. Because like Redford Morgan is such a marshmallow and such like a rugged marshmallow, if such a thing exists, because he does have like a little bit of that smolder, but it's just so sweet. And honestly, Chloe Brown too is one of my all-time favorite characters. After reading this year, this like really opened my eyes and my heart to the joys of contemporary romance. So yeah, just big fan, and now a huge Talia Hibbert fan. So I know this book gets a lot of love and a lot of hype. I'm not going to overly explain this novel to you. The really quick summary is, after a near-death experience, Chloe Brown decides to get a life and sets herself a bunch of boxes to tick off. And wouldn't you know, her new superintendent, Red, might just be able to help her tick off more than a few. But no, really love this. That's all I got. And yeah, I stand by my marshmallow character assessment. And then my favorite seasonal thing to watch. Now this could be a television show, this could be a movie, and in this case it is a movie. And my favorite seasonal thing to watch, hands down, is Hocus Pocus. Yeah, there's no second place there. This is like first, second, and third as far as seasonal favorite watches. Iconic. And the book I'd like to recommend to you, based on that beautiful movie, is actually another first in a series, and that is 3 Dark Crowns by Kendare Blake. So again, my logic here was like the 3 sisters in Hocus Pocus, the 3 sisters in 3 Dark Crowns, and even though the sisters and witches in Hocus Pocus are united in their cause, here we have 3 sisters divided. So in this world, the vitality and success of this mystery shrouded island is matrilineal, and it's always that the queen will have 3 daughters, and then when they come of age they have to compete to the death to become the next queen of the generation, and this is how the island has sustained itself. So we are following each of the 3 young women as they come of age and as the tournament starts to become relevant, and each of them is really struggling with their powers and their role in society and like what it means to have to kill their sisters. Some are struggling more so than others, but the series is really cool and really well written. I still need to finish it. I've read I think the first 2 books in this series, and I just need to get back into it, so maybe this fall the seasonal selections will help me get back into it, but I really highly recommend this book. So then I also just have such strong color associations with the seasons, and my favorite seasonal color is definitely like a warm burnt orange. It's one of my favorite colors to wear or to just be around, and it reminds me again of falling leaves and pumpkins and like, the whole ish of fall. So specifically, I'll put a Pantone color slide up here because I love playing with the Pantone colors. But that warm burnt orange is definitely my favorite seasonal color. So when I went looking through my books that I've read, a color that stood out matching that burnt orange is the text on When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandhya Menon. And that is, again, just a really sweet, feel-good kind of novel. It doesn't take place in the fall. I am purely going off of the orange font here for my connection point, but I do really enjoy that book, and I'm actually hoping to continue on with like the series because I just thought it was such a pleasant read overall. It follows Dimple, who has these dreams of being being in STEM, being a coding whiz, and she's really good at it. And so she gets into this prestigious kind of like summer academy, and her parents initially don't want to let her go, but then relent. And it turns out that they relent because they're setting her up, because they want her to meet a nice young boy, a nice young Indian boy, an inter-Rishi, who really thinks that Dimple is aware of the fact that they're being set up. And so he's like so excited to have an arranged marriage like his parents did, and to like have that strong cultural and family connection. And then he finds out that Dimple's just not here for it. Like she's mad. And so their dynamic is so cute and earnest, and their two perspectives on like forging their own path but pleasing family is really cool to read, and really well done. It was just like such a pleasure to read Sandhya Menon's writing. So yeah, highly recommend When Dimple Met Rishi. And then the last of my kind of favorites is favorite seasonal accessory, because I don't know, you just always seem to have one for a season. And for me, that's definitely a plaid. I really love wearing plaids all year round if I could get away with it, but particularly in the fall, especially these nice like soft cozy ones. There's just something about it that's like, it's like putting on a warm blanket, but with a smidge more fashion. It's a thing I want to put on when there's a little bit of chill in the air, and you know, you feel good. So based on that concept of just like a little bit of chill, you know, protect yourself a little from the chill and look good doing it, I want to recommend to you The Shadow of the Wind by Carlos Ruiz Zafón. So this is a really good fall read for me in general, because it has like a little bit of eeriness, a little bit of mystery, a little bit of that crisp chill that you get in the fall season anywhere, literally anywhere but Los Angeles, California. I'm going purely on sensory memory at this point. The book itself is a really cool bit of magical realism. It's a really good atmospheric book for fall, and if you are the kind of person that likes a book in a book, much like the layers of a nice plaid, I think this would be really great for you. It's set in Barcelona in the 1940s, and a young man discovers this book called The Shadow of the Wind, and really kind of falls for it, really feels deeply connected to this book, and wants to try to track down the author's other works, but can't seem to do it, because it seems as though somebody is going around destroying the work of this author. And so it becomes a quest to understand why, who's destroying them, you know, why are these books, you know, potentially such a danger. So it's really cool, and it's a series. It's again another first in a series. I have only read the first one, and I just enjoyed the first book so much that I may never, you know, progress in the series overall. I think you could read it as a standalone if you wanted to, but it's just really atmospheric and dramatic and a really good read for fall. Okay, now I am going to transition into giving you my like top 5 books that I would like to be able to read this fall. You'll notice that they normally are going to hang out on my priority shelf because I've like emptied this out. This little guy's just guarding an empty nook over here. So these are the top 5 books I'm hoping to get to in the rest of October and November. We'll see. We'll see if I can do it. But in no particular order, we have Gideon the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. Again, I've seen this get re-engage on its hype level because a lot of people are feeling the fall vibes, and in part, you know, you hear the word necromancer, you think spooky season, so I get it. That's definitely why I'm making this connection, but this is lesbian necromancers in space. Who doesn't want that? And this is actually an important, I have a couple of books in the stack that have done this, but I broke my hardback buying rule for this one because the cover was just so cool, and it has black sprayed edges, so I caved on this. So I would really like to read this fall. The next one should probably come as no surprise. It's been chilling back here on my priority shelf basically since the start of this channel, and I would really actually like to get to it. But that is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This is largely categorized as like dark academia, but there is a plotline of the occult here, where our heroine is recruited to be part of like a secret society within Harvard that like monitors other secret societies, and things start to go awry. So again, dark academia, black book snake, looking creepy, living its best life. Would really like to be able to get to this in the fall season in particular. It just feels very seasonally appropriate, whether it's the fall spooky vibes of the occult or whether it's just the back to school of it all. Seems relevant. And this next one, I'm not gonna lie to you, it is really a like color-coded cover pick, and it's one that I've genuinely been wanting to read for a while, and that is An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. So again, like just these gorgeous red, orange, gold tones. Fall. And again, it's another really powerhouse series that I've always wanted to read, and just there's so much. I don't have enough life in my body to read all the books that I want to read, or I'm always going to be a little disappointed, but I am trying to read this fall. And then I already mentioned this author once in this video, but the next book I would like to read in the fall is Take a Hint, Dani Brown by Talia Hibbert. And part of why I feel like this is seasonally relevant is, again, a nice golden saturated orange color, so the color is looking right. Dani is also Wiccan, and so that feels like, obviously that's a religious choice 24/7, but it does seem to like slide into the fall appropriateness levels. And plus I want to know more about what the Brown sisters are up to, because as I've mentioned, I was already in love with that series. So this is the second book in the series, and it follows Dani Brown. So she kind of goes viral after she gets saved from an elevator by a handsome security guard, and so then she decides to do a fake dating situation, but you know, feelings start to get a little bit more real. Yeah, I'm already feeling like I'm gonna love this, so we're gonna make it happen. Last but certainly not least, I think when you see the cover of this, you will totally understand why this is on my fall TBR, and that is The Regrets by Amy Bonifants. So look at this cute little ghosty cover. Again, witness me breaking my hardback buying rule for a cute cover. So the main character, Rachel, has been seeing this cute guy around like at the bus stop for a while, and she finally gets the courage to talk to him, only to find out that Thomas, the cute guy in question, is a ghost. And part of his afterlife is that he has to do a 90-day stint on Earth, but he's not allowed to like emotionally connect lest he incur regrets. And so obviously they do connect and they start to fall for one another, and it unleashes a whole mess of consequences on the both of them. But it just sounds like such a cute premise, and I love the cover so much. Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a good one for fall. All right, that is it. That is my seasonal selections fall vibes edition. And let me know again down in the comments below if you have any additional like seasonal favorite things that you would like me to create a prompt for. Let me know too if you've read any of these books. And yeah, hopefully I will get through some of that TBR. If nothing else, it's reminded me that those books exist, which is great. Let them haunt me. So that's my read. Thank you for spending time with me. I hope you have a fantastic reading day. Like and subscribe if you'd like to see more of me or this channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!